Hi, butt face. Hi, butt face. Okay, I got this. I'll go to...
My name is Magda, and I'm 26 years old. I work in an office in the city. On the weekends, I used to love to get away from all the hustle and bustle and take a trip to the countryside. Luckily, I have a cottage in a small village which is located right at the edge of the forest. How I used to love to get out of the city and spend the weekend in my little cottage. Why did I stop? Well, I'll tell you. After a hard week at work, I needed to rest, so I decided to get out of town. I went home, packed my bags, threw them in the trunk, and drove off. When I arrived in the village, it was late in the evening and I was tired from the long drive. I went straight to bed and fell asleep quickly. In the middle of the night, I was awakened by the sound of my car alarm going off. I looked out the window, but there was nobody in sight. I found my car keys, pressed the button to shut off the alarm, and the awful noise stopped. I laid back down and tried. All of a sudden, the alarm went off again. I didn't feel like getting up, so I just grabbed my keys and pressed the button once more, full and quiet again. However, 5 minutes later, the alarm went off a third time. Once or twice could have been an accident, but now I was wondering what was going on. Could someone be playing tricks on me in the middle of the night? I got up again and pressed the button to turn off the alarm. But this time, I didn't lay back down. I stood at the curtains and watched. After a few minutes, I saw something by the light of the moon. A shadow emerged from the bushes and slowly approached the car. I could just about make out the shape. It was something tall, skinny, and black. The figure reached out with its long, thin arms and knocked on the car. The alarm went off again, and quick as a flash, the dark figure retreated back into the bushes. At that moment, I realized what was going on and began shaking with fear. I turned off the alarm and continued to watch. The thing emerged from the bushes again, slid silently over to the gates, threw a hand through them, and removed the partition holding the gates closed. I was paralyzed with fear, and I couldn't move. My mind was overcome by panic thoughts. What was it? What did it want from me? What was it doing? Would it ever go away? A shiver ran through my body, from my head down to my toes. My mouth was dry and my heart was beating fast. I was so tense, I was gritting my teeth and clenching my hands into fists. I regained control of myself and ran down the stairs as fast as my legs could carry me to the ground floor. I wanted to look for something I could use to protect myself. However, just as I was about to switch on the lights, I suddenly froze in my tracks. The dark figure was at the window. It was pressed up against the glass, staring in, looking to see whether or not there was someone home. I immediately ducked down behind the sofa and peered out. That's when I realized what all those tricks with the car were for. It was trying to lure its victim outside. I couldn't take my eyes off its hideous face. Its skin was the color of ash and covered with wrinkles. Its eyes were small, beady, and completely black. Instead of it having a nose, there were 2 ragged holes. It didn't have any lips, just 2 rows of sharp, yellow teeth. When it breathed, it was so heavy and hoarse that it was misting up the window. I just knew it wasn't going to go away. After standing at the window for a few moments, I heard a rustling noise as it came to the front door. I watched as it tried to push its fingers through the gap under the door. The handle began to twitch wildly up and down. The creature emitted a chilling sound. It was not like a human voice. It was a deep, beastly growl, like an angry dog chewing on a bone. I knew that if it heard me, It would keep trying until it found a way to get into the house. I crouched down behind the sofa, hiding in the shadows and desperately trying not to make a sound. Tears began involuntarily streaming down my face, no matter how much I tried to stop them. I could feel my pulse pounding in my temples, and I was shaking like a leaf, just waiting for it to end. I don't know how long I cowered there. I must have been passed out. When I woke up and looked out the window, the creature was gone. The door was still in place, and everything seemed secure. I've never been so relieved in all my life. I ran upstairs and looked out the window. It was light outside, and there was no sign of anything wrong. Taking a chance, I grabbed my keys, and without stopping to collect any of my things, I ran out to the car. I jumped in, locked the doors, and drove away from the village as fast as I could. I didn't stop driving until I got back to the city. When I got back to my apartment, I turned on the radio and heard a news report. The announcer said that, in the village, the dead bodies of 2 girls had been discovered. Their corpses had been mutilated and dumped in a swamp. I guess the creature found what it was looking for. I don't want to, but I am curious to know. What would have happened if I didn't make the right decision of sprinting?
When I was 16, I was on my laptop late at night with all of my lights turned off. This was nothing out of the regular because I did this every night. But this night would not end as a regular night. At this point in my life, I thought I was an untouchable teenager. I just wanted to throw that out there. I decided to go on the deep web, but it wasn't my first time, as I have probably done this almost every night for about 2 weeks now. But I never saw anything weird, just mystery boxes and weirdos with fake gore videos. So this night, I decided to go a little darker, even though my friend, who got me into visiting the deep web, he told me not to click on anything crazy. What's the worst that can happen? So I come across these weird links that say toenail and other stuff like Michael Jackson's breath in a jar for sale. Weird. To myself, I thought, this isn't dark, it's just some weird stuff. So I started searching even more. Then I saw other stuff like, is anyone in need of a 4-year-old boy? And who needs a woman mannequin? I sort of laughed when I saw that one. Then I started searching for more. Then I started to see the sick stuff. Fresh body parts for sale. Real life snuff film for sale. And a link that said, don't click or else. So I sat there and I stared at the don't click or else. So, guess what I did? Yep, you're right. I clicked it. When I clicked on the link, my laptop started glitching and it went black for a second, then back to the screen where I clicked the link. I was confused, so I clicked it again, and it did the same thing. Again, I was confused. So I clicked it one last time, and it went straight to a screen that was black. And out of nowhere, a chat bubble popped up that said, I told you not to click it. I thought to myself that this was a bot and someone trying to scare me, so I X'd out of it. So I just sat there, looking at the screen, waiting for something to happen for about 5 minutes, and nothing. So I got up and I left my laptop on my bed so I can go downstairs to get something to drink. And while I was in the kitchen, I heard my little sister walking around in her room, which is right above the kitchen, but usually she's asleep by now. But I thought nothing of it. I go back upstairs, get back in my bed, and back on my laptop. By that time, I had to touch the mouse pad to get the screen back on. As the screen faded back on, I can tell something looked different. Then a text bubble popped up and it said, "Don't ignore me." I thought to myself, this is another bot. I clicked X and it was gone. Then a chat bubble popped up again and it said, "You were thirsty?" At this point, I was honestly scared because I was babysitting my sister and my parents were out on a date night. I responded with the question, "You can see me?" Then the other person immediately responded, "You don't have to type, just talk. I can hear you." I was shocked and I literally said, "Oh my God." As soon as I said that, the guy responded in the chat and it said, "God has nothing to do with this." I hopped up and put my Adidas on so I can haul ass out of my room to get my sister. Then a photo came through the chat and it was a picture of my little sister sleeping. I took off into my sister's room and there she was sleeping with the window wide open. I woke her up and yelled for her to come with me so we can get outside. As we exited her room to run toward the stairs, my parents' room door opened slowly. We stopped running because we were confused. My parents were supposed to be gone. I yelled out for my mom and my dad. Then I received a text message from a weird number from overseas that said, "No, but if you want me to be your dad, I will." When I looked back up from my phone, my parents' door was fully open, and an older man was standing right there dressed in fully black, smiling at us. At that point, I was frozen in fear, but I had two choices. Pick my 8-year-old sister up and haul ass down the stairs, or sit there like a dummy to see what this guy's intentions were. As we're standing there, the man said, "I told you not to click the link." As soon as he said that, I put my sister over my shoulder, and the man started running toward us. I ran outside with my sister over my shoulder. I went to my next door neighbor's house, and they called the police while I called my parents on the phone. When the cops arrived, they searched the house, and the man wasn't there. I turned over my laptop and my cell phone to the cops. My parents arrived, and they were visibly upset. And as I was giving my statement to the cops, my mother, she received a text message that said, "Your daughter looks tasty." And my father received a text that said, "I told him not to click the link." Till this day, the man has not been found, and I will never visit the deep web again. which is right above the kitchen, but usually she's asleep by now. But I thought nothing of it. I go back upstairs, get back in my bed, and back on my laptop. By that time, I had to touch the mouse pad to get the screen back on. As the screen faded back on, I can tell something looked different. Then a text bubble popped up and it said, "Don't ignore me." I thought to myself, this is another bot. I clicked X and it was gone. Then a chat bubble popped up again and it said, "You were thirsty?" At this point, I was honestly scared because I was babysitting my sister and my parents were out on a date night. I responded with the question, "You can see me?" Then the other person immediately responded, "You don't have to type, just talk. I can hear you." I was shocked and I literally said, "Oh my God." As soon as I said that, the guy responded in the chat and it said, "God has nothing to do with this." I hopped up and put my Adidas on so I can haul ass out of my room to get my sister. Then a photo came through the chat and it was a picture of my little sister sleeping. I took off into my sister's room and there she was sleeping with the window wide open. I woke her up and yelled for her to come with me so we can get outside. As we exited her run toward the stairs, my parents' room